Welcome back to Primetime News, and a special welcome if you're watching online at onespotmedia.com. Most Jamaicans disagree with the government's decision to restart tourism on June 15. That's among the findings of the RGR Gleaner Don Anderson poll. Vashon Brown has been looking at the findings and now joins us live in studio. Vashon, before you get to the findings, when are we going to hear about the party standings?
So Herman, I know people are wondering when they will hear those results. So all I can say at this point is that those results will be released next week. The focus this evening, though, is on COVID and tourism. So what do Jamaicans think about the restart of tourism and the government's handling of stranded ship workers? Now, the poll was done from July 24 to August 3. 1,071 persons, all registered voters, were interviewed from all parishes across the island. Jamaica started to welcome international travelers on June 15. The airports were closed in order to contain the spread of the coronavirus. Like many other sectors, the tourism sector took a battering. In June, Tourism Minister Ed Bartlett told Parliament that the tourism sector was losing $400 million per day as a result of COVID-19. So now Jamaicans were asked to what extent they agreed with the government's decision to restart tourism on June 15.
The majority of the persons that we interviewed in the survey conducted by my team, Market Research Services Limited, the majority, only just, disagreed with the government reopening the country to tourism on June 15. And the numbers are 53.7% said that they disagreed with that decision, but 46.7% said they agreed with it. So, you know, a kind of ambivalence, but more persons felt that they shouldn't have done that.
The government has been insisting that it simply does not have the resources to test all arriving passengers. But Jamaicans strongly disagreed with the decision not to test tourists on arrival. 9 out of every 10 Jamaicans, or 88.3%, opposed the decision to allow tourists in without testing.
It says that people are aware and conscious and aware of and really, you know, concerned about the level of spiking that they felt that certainly we're in countries like the United States where we still are getting most of our tourists from. It really was a very unsafe, unwise decision to allow people to come in without testing them, as it would impact the level of infections in Jamaica. So people are very, very, very upset about that, very distressed about that.
In the meantime, there were questions about the government's handling of the arrival of stranded ship workers. In April, the authorities said there were close to 2,000 Jamaicans on 90 ships in 20 countries across the world. Many of them were ship workers, while others went on vacation. They were stranded when the borders were closed to contain the spread of the coronavirus. So, did the government adopt the best approach in handling the issue of Jamaicans stranded at sea?
60% of the persons that we interviewed felt that the government handled that situation well. 40% didn't agree. So you may say, well, that was in favor of how government handled the situation by 6 out of 10 persons who agreed with the way in which it was handled. So, you know, government could take some comfort from that. But remember, 40% disagreed.
No, Vashon, we can't talk about COVID-19 and not make reference to the government's $10 billion care program. What were the poll findings on that?
So, Herman, first of all, the COVID allocation of resources for employees care program sought to alleviate the economic impact of the COVID-19 pandemic on individuals and entities. Now, 2 out of every 3 Jamaicans, or 68.5%, said the $10 billion care package was effective. 31.5% of the respondents did not quite agree. Additionally, there was strong support for the government's decision to accept $31.5 million from the Sandals Group through the Finance Ministry. 7 out of every 10 Jamaicans, or 71.3%, supported that decision, while 28.7% did not support the move. Herman?
All right, thanks, Vashon. Janella?